Welcome back. Hello, welcome to From the Shed End. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back. Hope everyone is having, what day is it today? Tuesday. Hope everyone's having a good Tuesday. A really good Tuesday. As always, if you're new here, please make sure you subscribe. You like the video, you let me know your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to make sure you subscribe. I looked at the algorithm, I looked at the not the algorithm, the content, the audience, the statistics, the stats, and it's showing me that there's so many people returning to the channel, so many people who are watching these videos from far and wide. We've got people from all the way from Europe to Africa. Everyone's watching this channel, but no one's really subscribing. So please make sure, if you're new here or you're returning and you haven't hit that subscribe button, please make sure before you do anything else, if you're going to have your lunch, you're going to go for a walk, a run, you're in the gym, you're listening to this, you're watching this, just make sure you smash that subscribe button. It takes literally 2 seconds. So yeah, make sure you do that for us. Make sure you subscribe. We have got a lot to try and cram into an hour. This was something that I didn't think I'd be doing on a Tuesday, but I've got to make time for this because we did a video Sunday. We put out a video Sunday. We're speaking about, you know, the latest in terms of transfers, etc. We then put out our preview for tonight's game, Bournemouth, 7:30 kickoff. If you haven't already, make sure you go to the next video or you go to the audio version, Linktree link in the description. Listen to my and Theo's thoughts on Bournemouth, which is obviously the game that's coming up tonight. But in the space of me putting out 2 videos, a lot has happened. A lot has happened at Chelsea. What is going on? Where do we start? Let's try and start from front to back. So let's start with, obviously we know the goalkeeper issue hasn't changed. We still know that we have Jurgensen and Sanchez are both expected to stay at the club. But some news did break over the last couple of days. In fact, no, let's do this in another way. Let's do this in a different sequence. Let's go back to Enzo Maresca's press conference yesterday, where he spoke about a couple of things that I want to touch on. Now, he did speak on, obviously the press conference. I like Enzo Maresca's press conferences. I think they're actually very insightful. The questions that have been posed to him are really good now. They're not those sort of generic ones that were being asked to Tuchel, to Pochettino, to Potter. These, I don't know whether it's just the fact that they've been briefed a bit better in terms of the questions they need to ask him, or we've actually just got decent journalists that are asking our manager the questions. But let's go through some of the things that were discussed in the press conference yesterday. He was asked about Romeo Lavia, Reece James. Will they be available for tonight's game? The answer simply to that was yes, they are. They both got through 45 minutes against Morecambe, so they're ready. Again, Noni Madueke, he's back. He's training with us. He's 100% fit. So that's good news as well. News on Ben Chilwell. So we have to credit Ben Chilwell. We have to actually credit Ben Chilwell because this is a man that, you know, was brought in a couple of seasons ago to be primarily number 1 left back at Chelsea. You know, he had a time where he was competing with Marcus Alonso. You know, he gets injured. We bring in Marc Guehi, who doesn't have the best start to his Chelsea career, and then Ben Chilwell gets injured again. Then he's out in the cold for so long under Maresca. We have to credit Ben Chilwell because he hasn't come out and done an interview. He hasn't come out and put out any cryptic tweets or anything like that, or Instagram posts. He's just got on with it. He's just training by the sounds of it. He wants to get a move to another club. He wants to move on. He wants to develop himself. He knows that there's a World Cup coming up in a couple of months' time. So he wants to be in that conversation with Thomas Tuchel, especially with Thomas Tuchel now as manager. You know, he understands Ben Chilwell. He's used him a lot while he was at Chelsea. But yeah, Ben Chilwell, it says here that, you know, he's been very top, you know, very professional, worked hard, and I feel ashamed for him. One thing I will say about Maresca, if he doesn't fancy you in terms of putting you in the team, putting you in the lineup, putting you on the bench, he's not going to use you. And he's very transparent with that. He'll come out and he'll say, you know, Veiga hasn't trained well, Noni Madueke hasn't done what I've asked him to do in training, that's why he's not in the team. You know, he's always come out and been clear as day and said, you know what, Ben Chilwell isn't for me. He doesn't fit my ideas, what I'm trying to do with this squad. And he's come out and said that on numerous occasions. So I actually think that he's right in what he's doing. I I just think he's right in what he's doing. So he's come out, Ben Chilwell, top professional. Same for Trevor Chalobah. He's put, Maresca said here, no idea about the contractual issues with Crystal Palace over the weekend. I didn't even know that he didn't play, to be honest. Kind of showed you that Maresca wasn't paying that much of attention. Now, this is where we need to start talking. We need to start talking because it says here about Renato Veiga. Enzo Maresca was asked about Renato Veiga. Now, if you was part of the earlier discussions on Twitter, yesterday, Sunday as more so as well, it did come out late Sunday evening that Renato Veiga is not happy with the amount of game time that he's been getting with Chelsea at the moment. So, of course, you're going to be, as it stands, we ideally, we want to see the best players at Chelsea. Now, if Veiga isn't happy and he wants to play more of a centre back role, then we have to look at the ownership here. For me personally, let me pause that moment for that. Let's just see what Maresca said. So he's put, at the moment, I'm not aware that there's an agreement. Yesterday he was here working. Today he's here. The only thing I can say, he's played well in different positions. It's allowed him to join the senior international team. We have to remember that as well. Renato Veiga, when we signed him from Basel, was not first choice in the national team. He's come into the team and he's been given minutes in the Conference League, a couple of games, I think, in the Premier League, but he's become more of a known player whilst he's been at Chelsea for 6 months. For sure, winning games helps contribute to win. Hopefully we can build some momentum. Bournemouth will be a completely different game. Obviously he's gone on to talk about Bournemouth, which we spoke about yesterday. Again, a bit more on Renato Veiga. He said here that he's, had a chat. I said to him exactly the same that I said to you. In terms of playing in the position he's playing in, that gives him the chance to join the national team and get the speculation around him. For me, if there's a player who wants to play in one position, they will struggle. They have to adapt. I like this. This is what I mean about Maresca. He doesn't mince his words. He told you exactly what he wants from the players. Again, on Ben Chilwell, it's my choice for him not playing. The reason why is because I can see Malo Gusto, Reece James and Cucurella doing different jobs. Chilwell is a top fullback doing up and down. I struggle to see Ben doing different kind of things. Honest opinions. I like it. Let's come back to that in a minute. Let's focus on Renato Veiga. Because for me, I'm disappointed in him. I've got to be honest. I'm disappointed in Renato Veiga. I feel like this is a player that when we brought him in, I think it was 14 million or something like that from Basel. Surely there was a conversation between agent, player, club, sporting director, manager. This is your role. This is where we expect you to play. This is what we're expecting from you. Now, if that's changed, and I don't know whether there's been discussions with the player and the manager, but either we've recruited the wrong profile of player, because we did need at the time, we did need someone that was a left back cover for Cucurella. We knew that Ben Chilwell was not in the options for Maresca. We just obviously part of the loan deal to Newcastle for Lewis Hall, so we knew that we was going to lose him. We did have Ian Matson, but we moved him on to Aston Villa. So we knew that there was going to be, and we needed cover. So when Renato Veiga comes in, it did make sense to have someone of that profile come into the team, that someone can invert into the midfield. He done that really well in the Conference League. So I'm confused as to how a player who thinks he should be playing more time in the league as a centre-back is now unhappy. So this 6 months that he's been playing as a left back or a left centre-back, or he's been playing in an inverted role in the midfield, now is all of a sudden not happy after 6 months. Doesn't make any sense to me. So the news came out anyway that he wants to leave. He's not happy. He wants to move on. There's a lot of talk now. Obviously, I think the back end of last week, Friday, Wolves put in a bid that was rejected. I think Chelsea, rightfully so, are looking, if they are to sell any players or move them on, it will be a sale. It will not be a loan. So Bayern Munich, which we'll talk about in a minute, but Dortmund, another German team, have come in apparently for Renato Veiga. they do want the player. Now, there is obviously a lot of talk about Dortmund. They do like to loan players with the option to buy. I think if we do this deal, there has to be, for me, there has to be an opportunity for us to sell him on. If he doesn't want to be at the club, this goes for any player, from Cole Palmer to Renato Veiga to anyone. No one is bigger than this football club. No one is bigger than the football club. If you do not want to be here, you don't want to fight for your place, even if you do think you should be a centre-back, which is fine, fight for your place at the club. Fight for your place, especially now when we've got injuries to Wesley Fofana. There's talk of Axel Disasi moving on. Tosin, we need cover at centre-back. Fight for your place. Don't throw your toys out the pram and say, I want to move because, you know, Bayern Munich might, or Dortmund might be can offer me a bit more opportunity, a bit more minutes at centre-back. Surely the conversation when we signed Renato Veiga was, this is the role that we expect you to play at the club. And this is where we want you to fit in. Now, if that's changed in the space of 6 months, I'll be very surprised, because you look at all the other players that we've got in the team, they all seem to be aware of where they should be playing. They all understand the minutes they're getting. Keenan Dewsbury-Hall, I'm pretty sure he's aware he was never going to be starting every single game in the Premier League. So I'm surprised if we've recruited Renato Veiga, spoke to him whilst he was doing negotiations and told him, you're going to be one of our centre-backs, but we've been playing him as a left-back and we've been playing him as an inverted midfielder. That doesn't make any sense. That does not make any sense at all. So I am actually disappointed with Renato Veiga, because one, it leaves us very short in that area now. Should we move him on in this window, Correa picks up an injury, it leaves us very, very short in that area to be able to then, you know, pick up someone else in the market. You know, we haven't really got anyone else that can play there. So for me, it's a mad thing for us to be having to go through at this precise moment. But we are where we are. This is where we are. It is what it is. You know, we have to just cope with what we can cope with. But let's talk about Carney Chukwuemeka. Let's talk about Carney Chukwuemeka. Another player. We spoke about him last week. There seems to be a bit more on Carney. Potentially moving on. Now, I don't know how I feel about Carney Chukwuemeka moving on. I know Theo as well. We spoke about it on here, the pod, not too long ago. Carney Chukwuemeka has become obviously a favourite for clubs in Germany. They've been scouting him. They're looking at him. They look like they want to keep him on their radar. Carney Chukwuemeka potentially going to Dortmund or Bayern Munich as well is another, for me, another howler in terms of our recruitment. We've signed him. And now it looks apparently like, according to Fabrizio Romano, that we potentially will lose another player that I think has got quality. Now, there's talk about Strasbourg, which isn't a bad one. Now, there is options, obviously, for loans for Carney Chukwuemeka. I think that probably makes more sense because, one, again, I don't think we're going to get a good fee for Carney Chukwuemeka in terms of, you know, clubs. He's hardly played any football for us this season. So I don't think we'll be able to sell him on for a profit. I think, if anything, we'll probably break even with him if a club was to come in with a fee or a transfer offer. But I do think we need to keep certain players. We have to assess them, let them go out on loan. Let's not make the mistake of just getting rid of players for the sake of it. But I think we need to keep Carney Chukwuemeka. I think he's a really good, talented player. Obviously had a couple of injuries along the way since he signed for us, but I think we have to keep him. I really do. I think he's one of those players that there will be a role for him at this club next season, especially if we do get Champions League football. You then have to factor in, you know, League Cup games, additional Premier League games being moved out, you know, midweek games that we are currently still facing. You know, obviously with the Conference League football that we're playing at the moment. But for me, Carney Chukwuemeka has to be the guy that we keep. We have to keep him. Now, it says here, Dortmund, potentially. We know Strasbourg's another one that we're looking to hopefully looking to move him on to. We'll have to see where that pans out. But for me personally, if we lose too many players, there has to be a question mark over the recruitment over the last two windows, because we've signed so many players. Some were always going to be a gamble. Of course they were. Of course they were. But we can't afford to lose too many of them. You can't keep throwing money at the club and expecting, things to stick. At some point, you have to sit down with the recruitment team, with the technical directors, the sporting directors, the manager, all have to sit down in a room and plot things out properly and plan things properly. At the moment, it still feels very scattergun in terms of the approach that we're going for. So I do think a loan for Carney Chukwuemeka would be good. But I do think this whole recruitment strategy of just scattergun approach is going to come back to haunt us at one point. Now, we do have to address a big elephant in the room, because last night, I don't know how and where this story came from. I know where it came from, but apparently, let's get straight into it. Apparently, let's go straight to Ben Jacobs, who I think has been following this story pretty closely. Now, Mathys Tel, young 19-year-old from Bayern Munich, very good, so I'm told, from what I've watched of him so far, from his time at Bayern Munich, may be interested in a move to Chelsea Football Club. It says here, this broke last night, 16 hours ago. It says Chelsea will bid for Mathys Tel. If given any encouragement, the player is available by Bayern. Understand Chelsea made a firm inquiry last summer and have checked again on his availability now, as per Fabrizio Romano. No swap deal for Christopher Nkunku initiated or, what else is the more? Or offered by Chelsea. However, it is understood Bayern do hold interest in Nkunku. Now, let's try and dissect that, because it came out of nowhere. Let's be honest, it came out of nowhere. There is also talk now. I mean, this has only come out an hour ago. Ben Jacobs again reporting that we value Christopher Nkunku at 60 million euros plus 60 million euros plus. I mean, look, this is what the club's all about: making profit, making sure that they, increase their revenue, make sure they make profit off the players, which is fine. That's what the club's supposed to do. That's what they want to do as a business as well. But I do feel it's a bit of a shame for, and I keep saying this, I've said it before on here, I think it's a shame for Christopher Nkunku, because yes, he's going to need minutes. He wants minutes. As I keep saying, there's a World Cup coming up soon. But we had to, if he leaves, you do have to question whether we've made the right choice here, because we've got someone who's proven already that he is a goal scorer. He's clinical in front of goal. And I'm not saying Mathys Tel isn't that, but we are running the risk of a 19-year-old. He fits into that category of potential, which could go either way. Really good, high, massive ceiling, or peak at 21 and that's his ceiling, or peak at 22 and that's his ceiling. So we are taking a bit of a risk by losing someone that we know in front of goal, given the opportunity, playing in the right system, can score goals with Christopher Nkunku. And again, if we get into the Champions League, we are strengthening a European rival, as Bayern Munich are. Now, bringing in Mathys Tel, for me, if I'm honest, could make sense, because I've watched him. He's clinical. People dub him almost like a Vinicius Junior, Kylian Mbappe, cuts in, takes on 1v1s, takes on his defenders, is clinical when it needs to be in front of goal, has the pace, the agility to take on players, might fit in a bit more to Enzo Maresca's style of play in the system that he's trying to implement at Chelsea. We also know that Christopher Nkunku is not, look, the figures are creeping up already. That was an hour later. The exact number quoted to Bayern is 70 million with add-ons, which takes the package even higher. It is understood though as well. The sporting director at Bayern Munich has come out already to kind of quieten down the noise around Tel. He's put, he's a very important player for us. He's a great talent. Our clear goal is for Mathys to make his breakthrough with us. We are happy with our squad, both quality and quantity wise. Of course, if a player is unhappy, we talk about it. But the clear plan for Mathys is for him to make his breakthrough here. I personally think Bayern Munich will crumble. Not crumble, but I think they'll understand that they're getting a good bit of business if they can get that deal done. Let's just see if there's any more on the thoughts here. Here we go. Bayern interest in Christopher Nkunku is strong, and the Chelsea forward is open to the move. Now, that is a key point because a lot of the transfers that we're seeing now, it's the player and the club or the potential club that they signed to striking that personal terms agreement first, which kind of says it here that Nkunku is in favour of the move away from Chelsea. You would expect that his representatives have probably been having initial discussions with the possibility of what is on the offer on the table for Nkunku if he moves to Bayern Munich. So that part is key, getting that bit done first. Get your personal terms agreed, then go to the club and say, look, this is how much do you want for him? If Chelsea is saying 70 plus in that region and Bayern Munich want to do that and they want to make the offer, then I can kind of see this happening. We need a prolific. I mean, Tel is not an out and out nine. That's the thing we need to remember. He's not an out and out striker. He's not someone that's going to be the number 9, the lead in the line. He's someone that will play off the flanks. He will play as a winger potentially on the left side, but he can be used as a number 9. Now that's the profile that I think we wanted to get for Christopher Nkunku. That clearly hasn't worked. We know that Nicholas Jackson hasn't been firing in front of goal. Enzo Maresca has already come out and said that Marc Guehi potentially is going to need a lot more time as a number 9. He's very young still. So, but then I look at Mathys Tel again, 19, another young player. So it's hard to understand where this revision of trying to sign a prolific goal scorer is going at the moment. It's one definitely we need to keep an eye on, because I think if we can sign someone that is of relatively good form in terms of this, then I think why not? Why not go for him? This is a very good thread that I read earlier, to be fair. This is from CFC Lavia or _Lavia. Really good little thread. So it kind of goes into a bit more detail. So the profile of Mathys Tel, 6 foot, something that we lack, a lot of height as well. So you're thinking about set pieces, corners. Like I said, someone that is positionally wise, is more on the left side, but he can play centre forward. He is right footed, but he's very good on both sides, left and right. This kind of shows you here the stats, which I'm not really a stats guy, because you can't really take from the Bundesliga and then equate that to what you expect to get in the Premier League from a player. We've seen that with Timo Werner. We've seen it with Kai Havertz. We've seen it with other players as well. So it's not to say that take all of this with a pinch of salt, what I'm talking about here. But you can see non-penalty goals, high. Shots total per 90 minutes, high. Assists, decent. Shot creating actions, decent. So I'm seeing a lot more greens and a lot more reds and greys. And I think that makes me think, okay, we might have a player. Now, just say here that Mathys has been one of Europe's breakout stars since last season, as it's already eclipsed the amount of minutes he played for Bayern Munich last season. He signed a new deal at Bayern, and he's going to develop under and alongside Harry Kane. Eventually replace the Englishman. Now, I think Harry Kane will continue his time at Bayern for another year, maybe another year or two. So maybe this is where this is coming from now. But as it says on here, Tel benefits from the system he finds himself in. He's not the main centre forward, but isn't in the limelight yet. So it's quite good. I feel though that this is exactly what we're talking about. This is where we should be talking about Nicholas Jackson, someone that isn't in the limelight but learning off someone. Now, who's Mathys Tel coming to Chelsea to learn from? Because it can't be Nicholas Jackson. It can't be Marc Guehi. So we still need that number 9. We still need that prolific goal scorer, the one that is going to be 20 goals a season. But I think if we sign him now and we've got someone that's prolific in front of him, or he can feed off, or he can link up with in the attack, then this transfer does make sense. It does make sense. Let's be honest. As I said, Tel is excellent in 1v1s versus the fullback, something that the fans want to see. Creates chaos in the attacking third, which can slice games open. Here we go. If you want a comparison, then I'd say Tel is off the drift winger striker hybrid profile. Jesus, what the hell is that? What the hell's one of them? But it says here, think Henry, think Mbappe, think prime Martial, French forwards who drift out to the left. Tel isn't at that level currently, but he can definitely get to that elite level, which again, I think I agree with that. I think he's definitely not there, but look, 19 years of age, the profile fits what the ownership are trying to do by building a youthful squad. You need to balance that for me with experience. But it says here that Tel is fantastic in terms of technical strength, possesses some incredible, valuable traits for an inside forward / false nine. Excellent close control, which allows for swift, sharp changes in direction to beat opponents 1v1. Key for creating separation for shots. It says Tel possesses some of the best ball striking currently in Europe, as his shots are extremely clean, accurate, and powerful. That I can vouch for when I've watched him play. In addition to this optimal technique, Tel is equally a strong striking the ball off both feet, an invaluable trait for a forward as direct as Tel. So you can see here. So we don't get the. So let me start that again. So we don't get the channel struck down with this, but now what I will say to that is, in the Bundesliga, and this is no disrespect to any of the players that are there, yeah, but in the Bundesliga, you will get defenders allowing you to turn like that in the box. I don't think you're going to get that much space and time in the box in the Premier League. So we have to, like I said before, take a lot of that with a pinch of salt. But as it says here, Tel also loves the stop-start dribble technique. Something I don't think, I can't remember the last time we had like an electrifying winger. I was watching Eden Hazard highlights last week, and I was thinking, we are on our arse when it comes to wingers that are good enough to take on defenders. We were so blessed with Hazard, with Robin, with Damien Duff. We forgot what it's like to have one. Someone who's a defender's nightmare, a fullback's nightmare. Mudryk isn't that. Sancho isn't that. João Felix really isn't that. We need someone who's a Mo Salah type, where defenders just hate playing against them and they're unpredictable. They can cut in, they can go outside on the wide spaces and still create something going in. So I think if this is Mathys Tel, please bring him to the club, because I'm all for that. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see how that pans out. For me personally, it makes sense to have someone like that in the club rather than someone like Nkunku, who is struggling for game time, who wants out of the club, who isn't happy with the minutes that he's getting. If we can sell it to Mathys Tel that you are coming in, you were playing games in the Premier League, but you also have to understand that you still need to learn and develop and progress and do all the rest of the things that you need to do as a footballer at the club, then I think we've got ourselves a decent player. I really do. I really do. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to subscribe. Let me know what you think about Mathys Tel. Should we be going in for him? Should we, if you hear it as part of the live stream, should we be going in for Mathys Tel, or should we be retaining Christopher Nkunku, who we only signed two and a bit seasons ago? We only signed, he's not been here for that long, but he hasn't really been given the opportunity to show what he can do. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about that. I'm all for it. I'm actually all for it, if I'm honest. I think we should be going in for him. From what I see of him, I'm definitely, and let me just show you this as well. Let me just show you this, because this doesn't really happen unless there's legs to the story. This doesn't normally happen if there's legs to this story. Fabrizio Romano. Now, I know people call him Fabrizio, fraud Brizio, but he doesn't normally pin his tweets. I vaguely remember him doing this with Enzo Fernandez, and he pinned the tweet. And if you remember, there was a lot of talk about it, whether it was on or it was off, and people were doubting him, but it still happened eventually. Now, if we get this done, let me know what you think. Let me know if you think we should be signing him. Fabrizio, yes, he's been doubted and outed as a fraud at times before, but if we can get him, let me know what you think. Let's see if there's any more on that story before we move on. City are doing their thing. Of course they are. Of course they are. But we need to seriously start thinking. This is a good part to think about actually. So talking about Mathys Tel, but Jadon Sancho, another one. Surprised Maresca recently. How consistent he's been, how great he is. We need to hold on to him, I think, for keep him, retain him at the club. I think we've got an obligation to buy anyway. But as long as we finish, I think it's above 14th or something like that in the league. So it looks like he'll be staying. But if we keep him playing alongside Cole Palmer, then great stuff. Great stuff, because that's what we need. We need someone like that in the club. And let's remember, if you want to be at the club, work for your place. Work for your place at the club. Don't shy away from hard work like Renato Veiga. Fight for the badge. Fight for your place in the team. That's how I see it. That's how I see it. I think we also have to remember as well, we are waiting on the B sample from Mykhailo Mudryk. Now, I think that's due any day now. I'm pretty sure any day now we're gonna see that happen. We're gonna see that come out. Yeah, I mean, nothing's come out about Mudryk, but if we do lose him to a lengthy ban, then yes, we do need someone that can also play on that left side where Mudryk potentially was supposed to be occupying and hasn't been doing as well as he could do. But yeah, we still need a striker. Let's not get clouded and move away from the fact that we still need a striker at this club. We still need a striker, and this is what worries me about the ownership, because the ownership for me, clearly, if we're selling players on that we only signed 6 months ago, it tells me that we're misprofiling certain players at the club. Renato Veiga, one that clearly looks like he's going. Axel Disasi, we haven't spoke about him. Now, apparently Axel Disasi is not going to be in the team tonight at all. He won't be in the team. He's not in the lineup. There's a lot of talk about him potentially, or there was talk about him going to Juventus. But as we reported on our Twitter feed earlier this week, it looks like Axel Disasi will not be going anywhere this window, which is, however you look at it, it's a shame because, obviously, if you're a Chelsea fan, you've watched Axel Disasi for a while now, you'll see that he's not necessarily what we need at the club. Defensively, I don't think he's the best. So yeah, we'll have to see. But we did report it. We did report it on our Twitter feed. So yeah, Axel Disasi expected to be left out of the squad tomorrow. He can still leave, according to Fabrizio Romano. He still can leave in this transfer window. I think the problem with Axel Disasi is he hasn't put in enough good performances for clubs to be knocking on the door and ringing the phone for them to try and sign him. He hasn't been good. Even when he's played in this natural position as a centre back, he still looks very shaky. He hasn't looked good as a right back. Makeshift. He is prone to a lot of mistakes. Now, Juventus were interested in him. There is still a lot of time. I think the window shuts on the 3rd of Feb, so there's still a lot of time to try and get a deal done for him. But if we don't sell him on, we don't move him on, that's another area, again, we cannot neglect. We still have to go in and find another centre-back that's out there. Whether that's a young profile centre-back that we're looking to try and bring in, or someone with a bit more experience, but we need to find cover at the back. There's no guarantee that Wesley Fofana will be able to rediscover any bit of form that we obviously got to see in him, which is why the reason we signed him from Leicester. Badiashile, another one that I think will be moved on, if not this next summer window, the summer window after that. Josh Ashempong, yes, I like him as a centre-back, but do I want to see him play there week in, week out? I don't think so. And we also have to remember, Enzo Maresca said yesterday in his press conference that he doesn't really like his fullbacks overlapping. That's a big key thing defensively. Him coming out and saying that he doesn't want his fullbacks overlapping. He's not keen on that. There was a question I think asked him about Cole Palmer as well, which was separate to that. But The fact that he doesn't like his fullbacks overlapping tells you that defensively, the two centre backs have to be switched on, because a lot of that football, the play that we're going to be playing out from the back, and we're going to be playing quite inverted, narrow. We're going to be playing some narrow football, and we're going to utilise the space in the middle between Enzo, Caicedo, or Lavia, whoever's in that midfield. And then we're going to go out to the wider areas, and that's when we're going to exploit the Noni-Maduekis. Are going to have to be, pulling up their 9 out of 10s. Jadon Sancho on the left side, or whoever, João Felix, Cole Palmer as the 10. That's how we're going to build up the play through the narrow football that we're going to be playing. We're not going to be using the overlaps and the underlaps, which is what we've seen under previous managers. So the centre backs, because playing that way, you do tend to lose the possession of the ball a lot more. So if that is the case, the two centre backs have to be switched on. Now, I don't trust Axel Disasi as a centre back. I do not trust that man as a centre back. I don't trust Benoit Badiashile as a centre back. I'm not heavily reliant on Wesley Fofana to stay fit enough to be a centre back for us for the next 18 months. I just don't see that happening. So I think we have to bring in an experienced centre back, whether that's, like I said, someone who's got the experience and has been at the top level, or someone that has just played consistently well for their club. But we have to bring in some more leadership at that club, especially defensively. We keep talking about Marc Guehi and Trevor Chalobah. I don't even think they are the answers. They are not the answers. They are stopgaps, very similar to Benoit Badiashile and Axel Disasi. Trevor Chalobah has been forced out of the club twice in 2 separate summer windows. So he's clearly not in the plans. And the way that Enzo Maresca's functioning at the moment, I don't even know if we recall Trevor Chalobah at this situation. I don't even know if we recall him. I really don't. Let's see if we can dive in a bit more to this Mathys Tel news here. Let's see if anything else is coming through, because this is taking some big pace. It's really picking up with pace at the moment. Let's see if there's any more on that, because I want to know what your guys' thoughts. So if you're in the live chat, let me know what you think about Tel coming to the club. Let's see if there's any more on that. But it does seem like we really are trying to get this deal done. And one thing with Chelsea as well, let's not forget how we signed Pedro Neto. Let's not forget how we signed him. We signed Pedro Neto literally kind of almost under the radar. Like, no one expected Pedro Neto to come through. Or João Felix. That was obviously more to do with the Conor Gallagher situation. But let's see what some of these comments are saying, because I do love reading comments sometimes. But obviously Newcastle fans in there a bit annoyed. How can they value him at 65 when they only paid 52 for him and he's flopped? How? Makes no sense. If he's worth 60 million, then Isak is worth 300 million. No chance in hell. Bayern fans are so angry about this feel. I believe Bayern have offered a package deal worth 70 million, and Nkunku is off to Germany soon. I agree with that comment right there. Nkunku is still very fresh and sharp. I agree with that as well. Good value. Thought they were just going to trade him with that unproven Mathys Tel. We are idiots if we entertain this price. I think Nkunku is actually a good player. I do. Green Turf. Chelsea paid more than the release clause to get Nkunku. 60 million is just as they break even, but I don't see Bayern paying that kind of money. Chelsea are trying to use it as leverage to get Tel. High IQ. I don't know, man. I don't know what to think anymore. From what I've seen of this player, I think we need to go and get him. Here we go. Mathys Tel, 19-year-old forward, 0 goals, 0 assists in 7 games this season. 7 goals, 5 assists in 30 games last season. 5 goals and 0 assists in 2 games previous season. What I'll say about that, though, is I still think that 7 goals and 5 assists in 30 games at the age of what he would have been, just 18 at the time, I think, is actually decent return. Now, I'm not expecting him to And you have to caveat that as well with where was he playing? Was he playing as a false nine? Was he playing off the left? Was he playing off the right? Was he playing as a 10? You have to factor all those things in. Now, could it be better? 100%. But 7 goals, 5 assists in 30 games. I'm not that annoyed at that. I'm not annoyed at that. Was he playing with the right players? Was he playing in the right system? You just don't know. So this is why stats are stats. Sometimes you got to just take them with a little pinch of salt and just do your own little research. But of course, look, this season, no goals, no assists. He's only played 7 games, and we're league games. We're 20 games into it now. So if these are just league games, then you can kind of see why he's not. He hasn't been getting the run of games consistently, clearly. But I still think we have to bring that man in. Agreed. Yeah, there is a possibility that he does stay at Bayern Munich. We have to remember that as well. Um, yeah, I agree. Let's have a quick look on some of this here. Let's turn that music off. I mean, look at that. Like, is Nkunku doing that? Is Jadon Sancho taking that many shots? Aerially, told you, 6 foot. He just looks like a. He looks like a. He does look like a. I mean, I'm gonna keep saying this, and looking at little compilations doesn't mean that someone's a good player, but just looking at certain things he's doing. I mean, look at that, one touch and bang. I can't even think of a Chelsea player that's doing that right now. Not even Cole Palmer's doing that for us. Goalkeeper should do better. So I'm not saying that he's going to be the be all and end all if we do sign him, but look, he's just taking on. Like, when was the last time we had someone that runs towards goal and isn't scared to shoot the ball? Now, he won't get that much space. I guarantee you, he's not going to get that much space in the Premier League. But he did run. He ran Liverpool ragged in the Champions League a couple of weeks ago, I think. So, oh, what a goal! So I mean, like this, I don't think we've got a player that's doing that. Name me a player that is doing what he's doing, even in the Bundesliga. Who's doing that? Who's doing that at Chelsea right now? Who's doing that in Chelsea right now? There's no one. No one is doing that at Chelsea right now. No one. No one is doing that at Chelsea right now. There's nobody. Please, someone tell me who's doing that at Chelsea. No one's doing it. So if we end up with Tel as a player that we bring in and he doesn't work, what have we lost or what have we gained? That's probably the question I want to ask people. What have we lost? What have we gained? Tell me in the comments. Let me know what you think. But what have we lost if we bring him in? Me personally, I think Nkunku is still a brilliant player. And I've said that. And I said it even last week that we need to be bringing him into the team a bit more. Me personally, I'll be playing Cole Palmer off the right. But apparently Enzo Maresca doesn't favour Cole Palmer off the right. When he plays on the right, apparently he cuts into the 10 role anyway. So essentially, you may as well play him as the 10. But Nkunku, for me, we've got to see early signs of it. His link-up play with Nicholas Jackson was brilliant. It'd be a shame to lose him, but I do think we're signing someone of just a better quality, or even the same quality with a higher ceiling. I can't be mad at that. I can't be mad at the owners for that. I still think they're neglecting the certain areas that we need them to work on. The goalkeeper, the centre-back, the out-and-out striker. We still haven't addressed all those things, and maybe this is just their way of building, the attack up and then go and get the striker in the summer. Maybe this is to stop gap and he plays false 9 for the remainder of this season if we can get him for in the January window. But if we get him in the January window and he plays as well as I've just seen him in those clips, and he can take on the Premier League defenders, he might be in a shout for one of the better signings that we've had. So is it really that big of a risk? I don't think it is. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't think it's that big of a risk. I think we should be going for him. I think it's a shame for Christopher Nkunku, but I think we got to go for him. Now, before we wrap up, we did do our predicted lineups yesterday on the channel. Obviously, it's match day. I'm going to share our lineups with you if you haven't already seen our lineups. If you have, then by all means, let us know what you think. But if you haven't, so this is Theo's. Other Theo went first with his. So he's gone for, I think we've both gone for the same goalkeeper, same back line. James, Ashiampong, Colwell, Cucurella as the back line. We both, I think, went for Enzo Fernandez and Moises Caicedo. It varies now because I think Theo's gone for Jadon Sancho, Cole Palmer, and Pedro Neto as the three in the attack, with Nicholas Jackson as the striker. I've gone for something slightly different. I've gone for same goalkeeper, defence and midfield, but I've gone for João Felix on the left and Pedro Neto. I did have Cole Palmer on the right and then Nkunku as the 10. But after hearing the press conference yesterday with Enzo Maresca, there's no way we're going to see Cole Palmer on the right. Unless he surprises all of us and puts him there, but I don't think we'll see that. I've actually gone for Marc Guehi in this game. I think Marc Guehi needs a chance tonight. I think he needs to prove why he should be in that team and be given minutes. And if it doesn't work, half-time, 50 minutes into the game, bring on Nicholas Jackson. If it's 0-0, defensively, they haven't got Evan Nilsson, which we didn't realise when we recorded the podcast the other day. He's out with a broken foot. They haven't got Kepa in goal because he can't play against his parent club. So, and they have a long list of injuries. At Bournemouth. So we should be comfortable enough with either lineup, whether we start with Jackson or Marc Guehi in the attack, Sancho on the left or João Felix, but we should be getting 3 points tonight. There's no ifs or buts. I don't even want to hear a draw or poor performance or nothing like that. We have to get the 3 points and keep the pack of teams, even including Bournemouth in that pack of teams, Newcastle, another one, City, Spurs, off our backs, and we have to get the 3 points tonight. But let me know what you think. Let me know what your thoughts are. We spoke about Trevor Chalobah before. We talk about Marc Guehi before as well. Today's video had to be about Mathys Tel. Let me know what you think. Should we sign him? Should we be trying to go all out to sign him? By the sounds of things, it doesn't look like personal terms will be a problem if the player wants to move to Chelsea. Clearly doesn't look like the personal terms are going to be an issue for Nkunku. He wants to move to Bayern Munich if he can get that done. Can we get it done by the 3rd of Feb? Also, let me know what you think about Renato Veiga, because I want to hear your thoughts about whether have we misprofiled him? Is this just the player that's not willing to fight for his place at the club? Give me your thoughts. Don't forget to subscribe. I'm not going to say it anymore. Please do not forget to do that. And we'll be back soon. We might be doing a watch long tonight, so make sure you hit the notifications on. We still need to iron out a couple of things, but if we do the watch long tonight, make sure you join us for that. 7:30 we'll be here. Bournemouth, a good record. I think we unbeaten in 6 against Bournemouth. So if you're here for the watch long, if we do that later, make sure you hit the notifications. If not, we'll be having a match reaction after the game as well. So again, make sure you leave those notifications on. And we'll be back soon. Enjoy the rest of the Tuesday until the match, and let's hope for 3 points later on tonight.